My daughter, F3, said she is afraid of her dad, M35. My husband is a great dad and an amazing parent. He is extremely involved, and is pretty much our kid's primary carer. My daughter loves him, tells him, and me, that often, but yesterday something happened, and I'm not sure if I should share it with him or not. My husband sometimes, not always, reacts with anger or scolding if our daughter does not comply with his requests or messes up with something she should be able to do. I get that as parents, we are not perfect, and sometimes you just lose it. Not ideal, but human. The worst is when he scolds, shames her for having an accident. Poop. Following these incidents, my daughter clearly tries to win him over, charm him again. And to me that's just so wrong for her to learn. I of course have put my foot down on this, but it still happens. Yesterday she had an accident, and my husband dealt with it, but it veered towards shaming, scolding. In the evening, approximately 1 hour after, I had this exchange with her. F3, Mom, are you afraid of the dark? Me, no, not when I'm with you. Are you? F3, no. Are you afraid of the disco ball? Me, no silly, that's festive. F3, are you afraid of Dad? Me, no. Are you afraid of Dad? F3, yes. Me, why? F3, because he is angry and sad with me. Me, oh, honey, that's not about you. Like, what do you even say? Expressionless. Heartbreak. Absolutely no physical violence. Just FYI. I know it would break his heart to hear. He is working on getting better. He does everything for our kids. But maybe I should include him in how his actions affect our daughter. Or should I keep it to myself? Does this need to be said? What are your thoughts? Grateful for any input. If it would break his heart to hear, he needs his heart broken. At least that would make it more likely that he changes his behavior. If you do not tell him, you are being a bad mother to your kid, who has expressed that she is afraid of her dad. For heaven's sake, if that doesn't make the klaxons go off in your head, it should. Why are you trying to protect him from the consequences of his actions? Why do you think his further ignorance could lead to positive outcomes? She's 3. Accidents, even when potty trained, can happen, especially at that age. Also, shaming her will not provide the desired result he thinks it will. It will teach her to hide things, lie about things to avoid getting into trouble, being shamed, and may impact her self-esteem, even at 3. As for the anger piece, she's telling you she's scared of him. Yelling can be abusive, especially if it's constant. Your husband needs to take a step back and evaluate how his anger is impacting her. It would break his heart? Good? It should. I'm sorry to give harsh response, but I feel like it's needed here. I'm a father with a daughter myself, and it would crush me if my daughter ever said she was scared of me, and it should, because that means I'm doing something wrong. Your husband is messing up bad, and she's learning that she needs to buy affection or stick out the fear and constant sadness just to get a slither of love and kindness from a permanent figure, male figure. If you do nothing or just let it go, then you too will fail as parents, but not only towards our eyes, but to your own daughter. Tell him to fix his attitude before he loses his daughter and that fear turns into resentment. I think what he doesn't understand is she is 3 years old. She is going to make mistakes even if she knows how to do it, but yelling at her will not work. Trying to constantly be in control and make sure she does everything perfect is already having an impact on her and will continue to have an impact on her as she grows older. Your daughter is 3. She relies on both of you, and if she is telling you she is scared of Dad, then Dad needs to know. Also, I think your husband needs to go to therapy to deal with his problems if he breaks his heart. Tough. As someone who grew up with an angry, verbally abusive mother and silent father, I can say that this kind of behavior is abuse and will cause lifelong suffering and trauma to your child unless it is stopped immediately and you and your husband go to therapy. Say something now. I had a dad just like this. And while we're really close now, because he's mellowed with age, it genuinely damaged both my relationship with him and the way I viewed men. I chose very badly for a long time, because I thought I had to appease men's anger. This is important, and you have the chance to fix it early. Talk to him. As an adult, she is going to have some serious attachment issues. He needs to understand the consequences his actions are having on her now and in the future. She is 3FFS. He needs to hear this. And his reaction to it is incredibly important. If he changes for the better, amazing. If he doesn't, that's dangerous and a warning sign. As it is, does your husband apologize to your daughter when he loses his temper or reacts poorly? Not shaming her or getting angry in the first place is the best possible option. But him acknowledging to your child that his response was wrong and that it is something he needs to ask her to forgive is a huge step to recovering from this. Your child confided in you because she's hurt and you are the only one she can trust for this. Don't betray her. Your husband is an adult. If he can't control his anger, he should seek anger management. You should buy some books on child psychology. You will not gain any positive results in shaming someone. Put yourself in her position. In a position that someone is yelling and shaming you for something you did. How will you react? Your child is only 3. You're her voice when something bad happens. Protect her, not him. Verbal abuse is a real thing. You know? Because you're not home to watch your daughter like your husband is. Maybe he gets more angry with her than you realize? If you're at work, then you won't hear what was said. I'm not saying that's the case. But imho, it's time to buy some nanny cams for your house. Honestly, they're good to have no matter what. Especially for future babysitters. I personally feel that you need to tell him what she said because he needs to hear how he's negatively affecting his daughter. You need to be proactive in making sure that your daughter is growing up in a healthy, safe, loving home environment. Verbal abuse leaves invisible scars on a child person and will negatively impact her as an adult. 05 are the formative years and incredibly important. Please make sure she's safe. Girls, stop coddling that grown-ass man. He is not an amazing father if his young child is terrified of his insane, unchecked rage about minor accidents. What is wrong with you? Break his heart. He deserves it. What an asshole. Are there any positive parenting classes in your area? It sounds like your husband would benefit from some additional help on the appropriate strategies to use when raising young people. Many communities offer free classes for families. Your local library might have more information. Perhaps if you took the class together, you both could move forward in the same direction regarding how to parent your daughter. I read something that has stuck with me for a long time. If she grows up with an angry man in the house, she will always have an angry man in the house. Right now, you and your husband is teaching your daughter that this is acceptable behavior from a loved one. It isn't. Your husband needs to know what she said, and he needs to work on his outbursts and how he handles your daughter. Parenting is hard, but I would be devastated if my son ever said he was scared of me. Why are you protecting your husband at the expense of your 3-year-old? If he doesn't change his behavior and learn some proper parenting techniques, he's going to cause real, lasting damage to your daughter. No daughter should be afraid of her father. Parents are supposed to make you feel safe, not frightened. I used to tell my mom all the time that my stepdad scared me and she never did anything about it. Just let him continue to rage and rant. I'm all grown up now. But guess who I don't go visit? My mom and stepdad. Nip it in the bud or your complacency will bring consequences. Google effects of angry parents and it is not great. An angry parent's effect on a child. The child may become a bully. Depression and anxiety can arise. They foster deep resentment towards their parents. Children become good liars to prevent punishment. Low self-esteem and fear are common. Children will be inadequate at communicating. Kids will feel insecure at home. Excerpt. The last one is already happening with your daughter and your husband may need professional help with this. Anger is also often a replacement emotion, especially in men, when they can't express their primary emotions of sadness, overwhelm, etc., because they were taught it was weakness. My Sil had an angry father she loved dearly. In general, she seems like a functioning adult. But when you look closer, you notice how it affects her. One thing she does is routinely catastrophizing. Everything is the worst and she always expects the worst to happen. She also depends a lot on others to take care of things. Talking about how she just can't do it, probably because she was yelled at a lot for not being able to do things. Children adapt and overcome things, but often in weird and unhealthy ways. They internalize things a lot and tend to blame themselves. They love their parents so much and struggle to fault them for anything. So they must be the problem themselves. Your husband needs to know this, because he may not be hurting her physically, but he is hurting her soul. Yelling is emotional abuse. How is he a great father if he literally verbally abuses your daughter? That's what he is doing. You should never scream at a 3-year-old child. Also, accidents happen. She's a child, for goodness sake. Let his heart be broken before he gives her some kind of trauma. It sounds like you think it's understandable that she's afraid. Definitely tell him. If that doesn't prompt him to be better, something is really wrong.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.